Fern's tent. Deep in the woodlands, between a gentle babbling stream and a great giant oak, lies an unassuming tent. You might one day find yourself there on an evening stroll with Sammy, your faithful Samoyed companion, by your side. You might have followed the brook's flow, or the faint sound of music from another time that drifted out from the woods. On your way, you might have stumbled over thick, unruly tree roots, the kind that hew the earth into new, fantastic shapes. In the low evening light, the gnarled tendrils of the ancient oak might have looked unfriendly, if not for the flittering glow of fireflies. As the friendly bugs come to life with the setting sun, so too do all manner of nocturnal creatures burrowed within the earthen hollows under the oak roots. One cannot help but wonder how many and what kinds of woodland critters stir as dusk settles. Perhaps a family of hedgehogs, relatives of your good friend Quilliam, waking to forage for bugs or fallen berries. Who's to say what nocturnal creatures are native to the woodlands? You might be as likely to see a wide-eyed galago from sub-Saharan Africa as you would be to see the chubby cheeks and emphatic smile of an Australian quokka. Once you'd stepped carefully over those tangled roots, you'd only need to push through a short distance of thick greenery. The bushes are low and plentiful, and the brambles seem to turn their thorns away to let you pass through unscathed. You might find yourself pause among the bushes and catch the sight of a blackberry, plump and dark, with the telltale dull sheen of near-perfect ripeness. Perhaps if you find yourself ambling through tomorrow, the berries would be just right. For now, it's best to wait, although they are undeniably tempting. Just beyond the brambles, you catch your first sight of the tent. It's not an enormous tent, but large enough that you could comfortably stand, perhaps only ducking to cross through the doorway. Its thick, khaki-coloured walls are made of heavy canvas, finished with a layer of beeswax that softly scents the humid air around it. Around the walls, cut-out squares of fabric have been rolled up and secured with straps of cotton to create small windows, 2 each on 3 of 4 faces of the tent. Through the windows, the warm, flickering light of assorted lanterns spills into the surrounding woods. Outside the tent, piles of books are stacked high and topped with jarred samples of assorted flora. Wicker baskets sit at their feet, holding freshly picked fruit in all sorts of colours. Apples in vibrant candy red, dappled sunset hues, blushing pink and lemon yellow spill from the baskets onto the soft grass below. The clutter outside the tent sits with a sense of organised chaos, the kind that slowly builds up over time as one creative thought leads into another, and books and other objects get put down somewhere sort of sensible. Jaunty music of yesteryear hangs softly in the air, accompanied by the familiar crackling sound of an old vinyl record. The source of the music, an antique gramophone, sits precariously atop another tall pile of books. It's a remarkably refined contraption, consisting of a rich brown wooden box with a lightly scratched glossy finish. A brass crank with a leather-wrapped handle sticks out of the side as the platter, topped with a deep green felt mat, spins along with the black vinyl record atop it. Of course, you can't help but marvel at the size and beauty of the large brass horn that curls out from the side of the box, amplifying the music. The brass was cast with huge petal-like shapes, mimicking the playful character of an angel's trumpet flower. As you step from the bushes, you see a flash of movement from behind the gramophone, and the music skips several beats. From behind the tarnished yellow brass of the horn, you see a pair of great, wide antlers rise. Rubbing their eyes with the backs of their partially articulated front hooves, Fern, the friendly moose, lets out a loud yawn. It seems you've woken them from their nap. Once the sleep leaves their eyes, Fern sights you across the small clearing. Their broad mouth curls up into a peaceful smile, the skin around their eyes deeply creasing until their eyes look almost closed. As they bare their many large, blunt teeth, you recognize Fern's goofy smile as a warm welcome. Fern is not quite like any moose you've met before. They stand on two legs, using their front legs like arms. They're not quite as long and lanky as a regular moose either. Instead, their tummy rounds out in front of them like a cuddly teddy bear. Their body is covered with a thick layer of long, shaggy brown fur, which shortens around their face and limbs. Precariously balanced on their round, fuzzy snout sits a pair of antique, gold-rimmed round glasses, and a pashmina, bright green like some of the apples lying around Fern, is wrapped snugly around their shoulders. As Fern clumsily ambles towards you, assorted sticky notes, as a 2B pencil lodged in their antlers wobbles softly with each step. They pull you into a hug. Fern is the kind of person whose soft speech and familiar hugs immediately puts you at ease. You can rest assured, when Fern is around, that someone is willing to listen to you, without judgment or distraction. Fern pulls away from your hug and crouches slightly to pat Sammy's head with one of their pats. They offer you a cup of tea, freshly brewed, and a treat for Sammy. The sleep in Fern's eyes tells you that any tea they had brewed won't quite be hot anymore. No worry, of course. You have plenty of time to wait for a fresh steeping. Fern turns their head and lets out a loud, wide yawn. Then, lightly smacking their lips, they waddle back into their tent. You notice a few fallen logs arranged in a triangle sitting to the side of the tent, inviting you to sit. You take your place on a log, facing towards the stream, and sit and watch it as Fern fetches supplies for tea. The ashes of an old fire sit in front of you, contained by a ring of rocks, and beyond them, the stream continues to flow on its way downhill. After some time, Fern emerges from their tent with an old tin kettle and a pair of ceramic tea tumblers stacked under their elbow. They carefully lower the tea tumblers down on the grass beside you and pull a small baked dog treat from their pashmina for Sammy. Holding the tin kettle out to you, Fern asks you to go down to the stream and collect enough water for the two of you to enjoy some tea. Meanwhile, Fern will start the fire. Kneeling by the stream, your knees press into the soft grass and you lose track of the world around you for a moment, focusing only on the whimsical rushing of the water and the soft evening breeze that follows it. For the moment, it seems the only things that move are the forces of nature. The wind and the water move without judgment for what you do or who you are. They simply continue, as sure as you do. They simply are, as sure as you are. By the time you rise from your reverie, enough water has filled the kettle, and you hear the crackle of a fire coming to life behind you. You return with the kettle, and together with your friends Fern and Sammy, you settle in for a peaceful evening with a warm fire, fresh tea, and the comfortable, mutual quiet of good company.